Howdy, this is Sailor the Piperman, Piper the Sailorman. Uh, Here this morning, well, this afternoon, it's about 2 o'clock here. And I want to talk a little bit, introduce a part of me that I really don't like speaking too much of. A lot of it is a sad history of my people, and that is my Native American side. Uh, I come from a tribal group called the Taino Indians that, together with the Arawaks and the Caribs, came from the Amazon basin. They spread themselves out along the Caribbean, then went out into the Caribbean islands, navigating island from island. And so some of them made it to Cuba, others made it to Florida. You'll find Taino Indians in Florida, you have Taino Indians in Haiti. Before the Africans, slaves were brought there were indigenous people in Haiti and Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic was called Quisqueya, which is an Indian word. In Puerto Rico, the island was called Borinque by the Taino Indians. And the Taino Indians were the first nation to see the whiting of their eyes of the Europeans. And as the folklore goes, folklore can be certain truths and then it's embellished by mythology and what have you. Was one of the caciques, the Indians, the chieftains, because Borinque, Puerto Rico, was broken up in different sectors, different small kingdoms or fiefs, much like the feudal system in Europe. And one of the caciques had a dream. His name was Bayamon. Bayamon is actually a region, central, not too far from there. It's a place called Toalta, up in the mountains, which means high mother, high tower, high mother. So the indigenous people in my line, their DNA, I had my DNA done and it actually showed, yes, I had DNA from Colombia, from Brazil, I had DNA from indigenous DNA of in Haiti, in Cuba, and in Puerto Rico, and it's Taino. And I matched with 12,000 other people that have indigenous blood. So the history books, the Spanish wrote that we were decimated, we were non-existent, but the current trend now through DNA is that a lot of us have 25%, even more, Taino Indian blood mixed with Spanish. My great grandfather was pure Taino, 100% Taino. His mother and well, let's say 98%. The rest I don't know, but his whole DNA, both from his mother and his father, is 100% Taino, indigenous. That shows it comes from Colombia, shows it comes from the whole Caribbean basin, really, larger Antilles and lesser Antilles. That being said, that speaks volumes about colonization and the attempt to eradicate us, eradicate our language, do away with us. No way in hell did they come to to make us Catholic or make us Christian. Their whole thing was to take over and repopulate it with mestizos Indians, and basically A lot of the same thing that was done to the Plains Indian, Pueblos Indians. That's a tragic side. The beautiful side is when it comes to smoking, that has stayed with us. The ceremonies that many of us still do, called Arieto in the circle. Well, Europeans called indigenous people pagans because they were not Christian, used to worship the forces of nature like the hurricane. Before the hurricane season came in, which begins July, August, September, October, they would use tobacco. By the way, it was the Indians, the Taino Indians, that first taught the Portuguese, the English, and Spanish what that leaf was called. It was called tobacco. It's in our Indian languages. We still use a lot of indigenous Taino Indian language, like maize. Maize means maize, like corn. That word is still used. And many other words. What I'm trying to get at, that for Taino Indians, Arawaks, Caribs, Indians of North America, Taino Indians, Seminole Indians, all the way up to the Iroquois Confederacy, the tobacco was considered sacred. You and I consider it sacred. We smoke it. Oftentimes, I see guys get together in circles, meeting together. You're like breaking bread, like having communion, breaking bread. Well, the Indians, during time of war or during peacetime, saw it as making a covenant. If I invite you to my house and we sit there and I say to you, we're going to smoke a peace pipe, or with a stranger, you want to smoke a peace pipe, that means that you're entering into a covenant with them, a covenant relationship with them where you're offering peace, you're offering hospitality, you're offering your home. Like if you were to go to Arab country and you went to the Bedouins, the Suez Canal area, and you walked around, they didn't know who you are, their whole custom is to invite you in, give you coffee, and give you rest, and give you waters from the local wadis. That's the traditional Bedouins from Saudi Arabia still do that. Well, Taino Indians and other Indians, Pueblo Indians, Iroquois, Mohawk Indians, Onondagas, Blackfoot, all kind of Indians will offer their pipe as a means to make covenant with you. And for example, if you enter my territory and you was a foreigner and you needed to travel through and there were other Indian populations, I would give you a peace pipe. That would be the covenant that you enter with me, who lived in that region, and that was your safe passage through that region. You held that pipe to your chest, to your poncho, and you're on your horse, and if some Indians came upon you, they would not attack you. They stop, they look at the feathers, they look at everything that you had, and they will realize you had stopped somewhere along the line, and somebody offered you safe passage through that area. A lot of the No Mountain Men and early Scottish and Irish trappers like Lewis and Clark, they did that. They actually brought an Indian with her. I forgot what her name was. And they traveled during the Louisiana territory. Lewis and Clark had peace pipes. And if you read the journals, he often stopped and he was able to make through because he had peace pipes.